Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's preview, as the Lions take on the Sharks, URC South African Rugby is back this weekend. We have got two local derbies as the Lions take on the Sharks before the Bulls take on the Stormers. And interestingly enough, on the back of the Currie Cup where the Lions are really struggling, they'll actually go into this weekend as currently the top-ranked South African side in the URC, but they are welcoming a Sharks side absolutely stacked with talent, with internationals, and a major issue, an injury issue as well to the Lions. So it should be a very interesting game. Obviously, it being at the Highveld, it always sort of plays into the Lions' hands because they are a team that play very well at home. They understand the home advantage. They pride themselves on their conditioning, and they play a full 80 minutes. And the idea is for them is always to try and wear down that opposition and basically make sure they're within catching distance at the very least towards the end of the game, and then try and sort of see if they can run a late victory. They've done it many times before. But in terms of the teams, before we look at them, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. We'll start with the home side, which is the Lions, and a couple of interesting players being backed, but there's a massive absence in the number 7 jumper. Victor Tuka, currently sidelined by injury, will not be available for this weekend. As a result, Ruan Strauly has come in his place. And if we look at the front row, Steve Toli, Yakovasaki, Carly Sardi, I think this front row battle is going to be very interesting because it is a very talented Springbok, Sharks, well, almost Springbok front row for the Sharks, 2 Springbok props, but I do think that this Lions front row is pretty underrated. I think that the one thing that the Lions are getting right is their scrums. And we've seen that at Currie Cup, we've seen that at junior levels, we've seen that at senior levels. I think they've got a very underrated scrum. And I think Oxenshare versus Carly Sardi, for me, is probably the biggest matchup of the weekend. Behind the Ruben Skuman is joined by Peter Jansen from Fury. He's been a very nice signing from the Pumas on loan. He just has a lot of experience, very good line-out jumper. And then you've got Jacob Creel, Ruan Strauly, and Frankie Horn. So you got the youngsters in Frankie Horn and Ruan Strauly, and the experience of Jacob Creel, who is starting to look back at his best. And I think Ruan Strauly is somebody who's actually grown in leaps and bounds this season. I thought that he improved a lot during that overseas tour. And I think a lot of people will always raise question marks over the fact that his dad's obviously is the chairman of the union. But I think that he's starting to really earn his stripes. And Frankie Horn is a very talented player, very good ball carrier, very good leader. The halfback combination, Andre Warner and Fred Zelinger. Jordan Hendricks is back in training, but not ready to make his return just yet. And then the rest of the backline, Ravs Baklana, Edwin van der Merwe will provide a lot of pace on the wings. And then Burger Odendaal, inside centre, will captain the side. And he's next to Wanasila Similani. And that Similani versus the Kanya battle we will see again this weekend. And then Evia Fullion starts at fullback. Off the bench, PJ Botha, Morgan O'Dea, Ruan Drea. I think Morgan O'Dea is a very talented player. Ruan Drea has his days where I think he can be. He's a former Springbok player, so we will know the class he can be, but he sometimes has off days. And PJ Botha, unfortunately, is someone who's yet to really have that very impressive performance and break through. Elsewhere, Willem Alberts is covering the lock, so it's a nice opportunity to bring on some bulk in the second row. Emmanuel Shatuka takes the place of his brothers in the 23 and is coming off the bench. But there's a lot of exciting young players coming in, the likes of Morne van den Berg, Matt Moore, and Tian Swanepoel. Tian Swanepoel coming back from injury will cover fly half fullback as well. Matt Moore, an inside centre more by trade, very talented youngster, former St Andrews boy, and then Morne van den Berg, a little bit live wire scrum half. If we're looking at the Sharks side, this is how they line up. Up front, Oxenshare, Kieran Verveer, and Thomas du Toit. We will see no Bongi Manambi this weekend. We will also see no Sekulisi. Both those players have been rested. Now, a lot of people will say, how can you be rested when you haven't played rugby for so long? My guess would be there is a certain rotation policy in terms of the amount of games you're allowed to play over the season. And so they probably just decided, right, these two will sit out now, which means they will be able to play maybe the rest of the games and stuff like that. There's always a rotation policy that is in effect, especially for Springbok players. So it's probably more playing into that. You don't want to be resting all your best players at the same time. And obviously, they've identified this game as an opportunity where they don't necessarily need Bongi Manambi or Sekulisi. The two locks are Ruben van Heerden and Hiron Andrews. Been quite impressed with Hiron Andrews over the last couple of years. I think he's improved a lot. And Ruben van Heerden, for me, could be someone who could push for BOK call-up if there were to be another lock crisis like we have had in the past. The loose trio, James Venter, is up against his former side. He is joined by Jandre Labaskakni and Pepsi Buthelezi, and the very exciting young 8th man. Still no Sukumboza Noche either. We'll hopefully see him very soon. At the halfback combination, Grant Williams is back from the Springbok squad, and he will be partnering Butter Chamberlain, who is in a very good patch of form when he signed off last year, and he'll be wanting to try and sort of just pick up from that. Very talented players, Bullet Chamberlain, but hasn't ever been able to sort of bring that consistency, which is often sort of what makes players take that next step. He is obviously still quite a young player, but if he can bring that consistency to his game, I think we've got a very interesting prospect. And after that, we are just talking about international after international. Makazole Mapimpi, Spur and Corsi, Aplele Fassi is a deadly back three that you do not want to give any space. And then you've got Ben Tapawai partnering his captain Lukanya, which, I mean, you've got an Australian capped inside centre next to Lukanya. It's an incredibly experienced back line, and I think that is going to be the biggest issue for the Lions. Off the bench, Fezan Bata into Tukam Kuno, Kutam Kuno will be giving Ruandre, Morgan Odia, and PJ Buerta a hard time. Renio Hugo and Henko Fenter will cover the rest of the scrum. Jane Hendrickson is back and will hopefully be looking to get back into the form that saw him actually get capped by the Springboks last year in Quebec. Tito Bonillo, the Argentina flower hoppers on the bench, as well as Jamie Ward, who rounds out the bench. It's a very impressive Sharks side. They've got more international players on their bench than the Lions have got an entire extended squad. That's the reality, So on paper, you look and you think the Sharks have got a much better side, but the Lions are at home. I think, set piece will obviously be important. The Lions have got to make sure they get their set piece right, because their forwards for the Lions have to come to the party. Because if they get dominated by these Sharks for pack and they allow that backline freedom to run at the Lions, it's going to be a very long day in the office. You've got so many players there who, give them a half gap and they'll find space. But good to see Aplele Fassi starting again. We'll be able to hopefully get to see him have an extended run and keep pushing for that Springbok jersey. Let me know what your score predictions are down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.